I think the thing that really sparked my interest after I started diving a little deeper is that wine is the study of all of my favorite sciences. So besides equestrian science, I'm a biology nerd. I love chemistry, geography. I love geology. All of my favorite things are in one bottle of wine.
Yeah.
So once I learned that I could continue on studying all of my favorite sciences and also have a really nice beverage and talk about it, I couldn't
You were
turn
sold.
back.
That was it.
Sold.
Ciao, y'all. I'm Jessica Dupuy, guest host for a special TexSom series covering the 2024 TexSom Wine Conference from Dallas, Texas. Join me in the heart of the Lone Star State as we delve into the experiences and insights of key speakers and attendees, exploring career paths, challenges, and the latest trends in the wine industry. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate our show wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast, Alisha. I am so glad to have you here on yet another occasion of TexSom.
I'm so happy to be here, Jessica. One of my favorite things about TexSom, it feels like a family reunion.
Yes.
We get to see each other twice a year.
Yes.
So it's really great to be here. Great to be back.
Yeah, it really is great. I feel like we've known each other for a few years now. And a lot of that has to do with TexSom. I mean, I've heard about you before, but what's great about this is that people, like, I've never been to St. Louis, which is where you're from.
Yes.
But I feel like we always have this commonality between us. So it's the case for so many people that come to this. Mm-hmm. But let's get a little bit of a background on you. So give us your full name, where you're from, and what you do in the wine industry.
Sure. So my name is Alisha Blackwell-Calvert. I am a brand new 40-year-old from St. Louis, Missouri.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. That was a couple months ago, but it still feels new.
Yeah.
Grew up in Webster Groves with my family. In our family, we didn't have a lot of wine or alcohol in the house. So this whole journey was just kind of a path on its own. But I grew up wanting to be a veterinarian and work with horses. So in college, I pursued that. I started studying horses and equestrian science in college at William Woods University, came back home after a little financial aid snafu, started waiting tables like a lot of,
people at that age,
teenagers in early 20s, and just got into restaurants that way. Okay. And between restaurants and doing my other profession, which is professional horse and carriage driver, I just kind of paved my own way.
Horse and carriage driver. I feel like we need to have a whole separate episode just on that, because that sounds so fun. Was it like in the city or was it in the country?
Yes, in St. Louis City. So St. Louis is where the Missouri River and the Mississippi River meet.
Okay.
So we would drive horse carriages up and down the Mississippi River right in front of the Gateway Arch, just giving tourists and lovers and families rides.
Like special occasions and things like that.
Special occasions.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
I can drive one horse at a time up to 4 horses. So I can drive a team.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay. So totally separate episode, but So tell me, so you're still in St. Louis. That's where that whole area is where you grew up. And I just want to give a shout out to the St. Louis sommelier community, because I feel like there have been so many people that have come from St. Louis to TexSom that kind of started out like in the summer camp, I guess, doing the kind of background scenes. But what are some of the other SOMs that kind of introduced you to TexSom?
Sure. So I was inspired by the SOMs before me, like Matt Dully and Andrei Ivanov and Keith Herrick and those guys. Oh, Patrick Old. Brandon Kern, like guys that went to TexSom before I did.
Right.
And I would see all of these photos of them working hard, all suited and pinned up, but amazing wines and just all of this behind the scenes and, watching them decant bottles. I'm like, what is TexSom? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And how come I'm not there?
Yeah, why wasn't I invited?
Why was I not invited?
Yeah.
I mean, at this time in my life, I just got back into restaurants. I took a break, which we can talk a little bit later, from wine distribution back into restaurants. And getting back into restaurants is when I got the introduction to TexSom and all of its awesomeness and the reward of education and kind of bettering yourself.
Yeah.
I live for that. So
yeah, it's kind of great for tapping into a community of people.
Mhm.
So yeah, tell me about your background. So we're going to move on from the horse carriage thing, although that's really pretty cool. Restaurants, but how did wine become a focus for you?
So when I first started waiting tables, I think one of the things I liked about that job was getting to talk to people, but also introducing wine into the conversation. So it was that moment when the guest would say, okay, this is what I'm ordering. What wine should I drink? Like, oh, what wine should you drink? So that's a great question.
Yeah.
You know, as a teenager, 20 something, you don't know the answer to that. So luckily we had a sommelier at the restaurant I was working at, Oceana Bistro, that every Friday and Saturday she would open something up. So we had, you know, in-house education, but I wanted to know more. Like, why do people ask about wine? Why is it important? Why should a specific wine be paired with a certain dish? What are people looking for? So my journey with wine is that why, and why wine works with food, why people are lured to wine, and what, you know, I didn't drink wine growing up. So
Yeah.
what is wine about?
Right.
So I think the thing that really sparked my interest after I started diving a little deeper is that wine is the study of all of my favorite sciences. So besides equestrian science, I'm a biology nerd. I love chemistry, geography. I love geology. All of my favorite things are in one bottle of wine.
Yeah.
So once I learned that I could continue on studying all of my favorite sciences and also have a really nice beverage and talk about it, I couldn't turn back.
That was
I
it.
Sold.
That's super cool. And you're right. I mean, plus, I mean, so for myself, I major props for actually loving the sciences. I struggle with science, but it's funny because I feel like the other side of that is like I was history and politics and what I studied, and there's that same degree of it in a bottle of wine as well.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the kind of thing, actually, Matt Dully, to refer to another St. Louis Somm, he talked about how it's the perfect profession for someone who has ADHD, who's interested in everything and just can't focus on one thing, because wine really does cover so much of it. So now, I mean, like fast forward, you have just recently helped open a new Italian restaurant. Is this correct?
Yes. So Madrina in St. Louis is about 9 months old now.
Okay.
We opened on Black Friday of 2023.
Wow.
So we're approaching our first year,
Okay.
but she still feels like a baby. So the two owners of Madrina, Frank Romano and Stanley Brown, two people in the St. Louis community that I looked up towards when I was just a budding sommelier, two gentlemen that already had plenty of experience when I first started. As they were getting the restaurant together, they reached out and first asking me if I knew anyone that could help them, because I was at Four Seasons at this time as part of a sommelier team with Anthony Geary and Phil of Elisa's. But I wasn't looking to move. But when I heard more about the project, I'm like, this is really cool.
You're like, maybe you could talk to me.
Maybe get it right. Like, this is something I would want to do.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties into why I'm here. But Madrina itself is the Italian word for godmother. So the restaurant is a nod to Frank Romano's Madrina, his godmother.
Okay.
Sister Helen Negri. But the restaurant is a nod to her and her Italian background. And Mr. Romano, he grew up working in a famous restaurant in St. Louis called Kiemel's, which is also Italian. There's so many Italian ties to this restaurant, which is so important that my background is also in Italian.
Okay.
We'll get to that later.
Oh, I totally want to know that. Yeah.
But the restaurant is a nod to the 1950s with Italian-American heritage, but still using farm-to-table-like techniques.
Okay.
We're doing very well, and I'm so proud of what we're accomplishing so far.
Yeah, that's super cool. So you mentioned, so you were at the Four Seasons prior to that, which, you know, they're known as a hotel group and the restaurants within for having such a great program for hospitality and education. And it's, I mean, I know so many people that have worked with Four Seasons over their careers that have really kind of solidified a foundation within wine hospitality. But it's established. They exist, right? They already have something. So I'm curious kind of what it felt like to jump into a project that was fresh and brand new, that you're kind of starting from the ground up in terms of the wine program. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like at Four Seasons, I mean, corporate. So there's already a core list and, you know, there's a somm team that adds to it. But going from something that's so structured to kind of going out on my own and creating something new and building my own policies and my own systems from scratch. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
This is my first restaurant. So I've never opened a restaurant before like this.
So when you approached it, so obviously Italian heritage, tell me a little bit about the wine list. Like when you built it, is it all Italian or is it mainly, but plus some things, or how did you?
Right. So Stanley Brown, owner, certified sommelier, his restaurant called Robust is a wine bar. And he wanted Madrina to be a little like what he does, just 2 blocks down the street in Webster Groves. So Robust has this very user-friendly style of selling wine at a wine bar. It's called the Robust Factor. Everything's kind of labeled, very easy. If you like full body wine, it's just really easy to find things. Yeah. So he wanted to have that user-friendly concept at Madrina as well. Okay. So it was his idea to pair an Italian wine next to a domestic wine side by side. So as you're looking at the menu, if you're familiar with this particular Chardonnay, the wine next to it will be something very similar in style. So if you're not used to whatever this grape is, right, you might have an idea.
So it's an opportunity for discovery. If someone comes in who's like in love with the same wine that they buy at the grocery store or whatever every day, they're going to discover potentially something completely new that's an Italian native or
exactly. Yeah. So it's what's called our Due pairings. Okay. So all of the domestic wines have an Italian counterpart, just to kind of give you an idea of what that varietal will be like.
Very cool. And then you have something special on there too, like Alicia's picks or
Right. So they only wanted domestic and Italian wine for the entire wine list. Okay. And it's about 115 SKUs, which is fine, but knowing me, I get bored a little easy.
Not that there's anything, there's plenty to discover in Italy and the US.
Plenty. But I have a few things from around the world that aren't domestic or Italian that I can put on the wine list. Yeah. Something that rotates. I can just have a few things to play with. I said, okay, perfect. And so that's an opportunity for me to kind of round out the list with maybe like something oaky and buttery that isn't from the US, maybe something French. Or I just got back from Slovenia, so I added Movia's Ribera Gialla. Beautiful wine. I've added wines from Portugal and Spain, like places where I've been that I have respect for, or producers that are classic that don't have a spot. Right. That's a way for me to rotate really cool things in and kind of round out the list itself.
So it's just another point for guests to be able to discover something new too. And I mean, obviously it's your list and I assume you're on the floor quite a bit, but you also are training a staff that understands what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. Right. I'm on the floor 5 days a week. Okay. So I like to serve. Yeah. And so I serve 5 days a week. Okay. When we first opened, I was just the active sommelier, somming every day until I could feel the servers really got their feet together. Then I could introduce myself serving onto the floor. Yeah. And I think that was a really great tactic, just giving the serving staff some support and selling wine and kind of introducing the wine list to guests. So, I mean, Italian wine can be intimidating. Yeah. So I'm very comfortable talking about Italian wine. My first real job in the wine business was a wine sales rep for Ione Atlantic Imports, which is an Italian wine importer in St. Louis, now called Grafted, but it's 90% Italian. Okay. So my first job in the business was Italian wine. I had to learn from scratch what Italian wine was, these varietals, how to pronounce them, and then sell them to people who knew a lot more than I did in the St. Louis market. Interesting. So I like that something that some people find intimidating, like in Italian wine, that was my first step. So I got the hard part out of the way and everything else just became easy. Yeah. Because if you can not master, but if you can tackle Italian wine and kind of get over some of that hesitation that you might have, it's so much easier.
Well, it helps to have someone kind of create that roadmap for you, especially if you're new to a region or a country of wine. And so for you to be able to do that in an approachable way that doesn't feel intimidating, I mean, that's the whole reason we do what we do, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be easy. I mean, I love that my Sauvignon Blanc from Columbia Valley is right next to a Verdicchio.
Yeah.
So it just, okay, I recognize this. I can recognize that, and enjoy that flavor profile. But all the way down, it's such a challenge to pair wines together in that way and try to find a specific wine's counterpart. I would have never thought to build a list like that.
Right.
But now that I have it under my grasp and the list is 100% mine, I choose every bottle on that list. And I'm so very proud of everything I've chosen. And I stand by my work. I was really proud of it. Got my first Wine Spectator Award as a solo artist. As a
in
som.
the first 9 months?
In the first 9 months.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I feel really confident in what we're putting together and the experience that we're giving.
That's so great.
But yeah, I think my love for not only wine, but Italian wine shows when I look at that list.
Yeah.
Just really proud of my work.
So you mentioned already like a couple of different trips that you've been on recently, and I wonder how that helps inform your job, right? Like, so somewhere you went very recently was Abruzzo.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience and kind of what you brought back in terms of what you were excited about to be able to maybe bring into the Madrina family.
Right. Even if you are familiar with Italian wine, I still think that there are regions that are overlooked. If you look at any Italian list, Tuscany, Piedmont, maybe some Veneto, Sicily. But when it comes to Abruzzo or the Marche, I think those tend to get left out for more recognizable regions. So I think I too kind of fell into that trap. Like, wow, I'm going to go to Abruzzo. I haven't been. I think I know what the wines are like, but I really don't know.
Right.
So it was very eye-opening to go into the region and meet the people behind some of the wines that I recognize already, like
I know.
Valentino. Thank you. Valentino. Like, I've heard of Valentino wines before, but I wouldn't think
you weren't sure why or what the context was.
Or why. Yeah. Right. So I think one of my favorite moments of Abruzzo was being in the Valentino's living room, tasting Trebbiano from the early 2000s and how that wine is progressing, and then learning about how they treat their Montepulciano, the Abruzzo, and it's really an eye-opening experience to see something kind of a unicorn wine, if you will, and tasting it in someone's living room.
Yeah.
In that region is really, really
beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Beautiful. Yeah. I've personally not spent much time in Abruzzo, but I think that's the thing is understanding, like you said, like Trebbiano, which I think on the onset, a lot of us don't think of it as an ageable white wine, right? But to be able to taste one that has the legs and the foundation to be able to do that, like you said, in someone's living room. I feel like the travel part of what we do really does bring a lot of context to people that have never been, but you can kind of sort of transport them not only by pouring it into the glass, but then by telling them these stories and telling them these experiences.
Right. And I think another thing that kind of fell into a trap, like a region like Abruzzo, if you look at what's in the St. Louis market, for instance, like the wines that I'm seeing are inexpensive value wines, like under $20. So that's my idea of, let's say, Montepulciano de Abruzzo.
Right. Like
inexpensive, fun. But when you taste, really serious, thoughtful wines, I mean, that's an experience that you can only get there in Abruzzo if you're, in mid-Missouri.
Right.
It's definitely eye-opening, and you really take away a lot more from the region.
Right. That's a really good point, because as you say, like, it's not New York, it's not San Francisco, LA, in terms of what you're able to receive in your market.
Yes.
Is a slimmer spectrum of things. But that's cool, because you being able to experience that, perhaps it's now something you can start bringing in and bringing light
to. I actually did. So Valentina, the other Valentina in Abruzzo. So I just brought on that spelt.
Okay.
That lovely Montepulciano de Abruzzo from 2021 vintage.
Okay.
So really good vintage. But That wine is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I would not have brought that onto my wine list without going there.
Having
and,
experienced
right,
it in person.
Experiencing in person and then bringing that wine to the wine list.
Yeah. It's a quality part of what we do. I love
Right.
it. It's an important part. So let's talk about TexSom. In previous years, we've actually presented together on a couple of wine regions within the United States. And you usually are a speaker. At least in the past few years, you've had something to talk about, which is always fun. This year, it was about aged wines.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me, it was with a panel of people, right? Who else was on your panel?
Yes. So Dilek and Yannick and Mary Gorman.
Okay, so Dilek Kaner.
Yes.
She's a master of wine based in Texas.
And so is Mary.
Yes. And then Yannick, who we've actually had on the show as well.
Lovely.
So you guys got to go through a range of aged wines, and if maybe you could tell me a little bit about them. Like how did y'all go about kind of picking, or did you just receive a selection that y'all had to go through?
It's a little bit of both. So there was a selection of wines already available. It's cool because one of the wines on the panel, my friend from Wilbur Canyon Winery reached out and said, hey, I would love to have my wines represented on your aged wine seminar.
Okay.
Is there any room? Yes. It would be fantastic to have an aged Washington State Cabernet Sauvignon from a very respectful winery on the panel. So it's Woodward Canyon 1989 dedication series Cabernet Sauvignon.
Wow.
That will be blind tasting.
Nice.
That we did blind taste with the group, and also from Abruzzo.
Nice.
There's
how convenient.
Marina's Trebbiano d'Abruzzo.
Okay.
So it's a really beautiful Trebbiano d'Abruzzo from the 2013 vintage, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Something with a little bit of age on it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a nice surprise.
Yeah. I mean, that's always so fun to be able to do in blind. And I think that's the thing is you've got some really great cast of great people on the panel that can help the audience break it down. And to be clear, who's in the audience can be anywhere from people who are just getting into the wine industry to retailers to sommeliers to importers and distributors. So it's kind of a wide variety. One of the reasons TexSom is so strong is it gives people a chance to just continue to stay fresh with their tasting abilities and their education.
Continued education is very important.
Right. Yes.
So this is my 10th time speaking at TexSom in a short amount of time. So I'm very grateful and very thankful. But I think one of the things that's so humbling is you're absolutely right. You look out into the crowd and you see the first timer and they're going for their level 1. You know, they're just kind of getting their somm legs under them.
Yeah.
And right across from them is a master sommelier or a master of wine or a journalist that has made some amazing pieces and articles on wine that I use as a resource.
Right. Yeah.
And then having to speak in front of them. So I'm trying to keep your wits about you.
Yeah, that's actually something that is a whole thing we should talk about at some point too, because it's a lot. It's intimidating and also exciting at the same time.
I started as a summer camper.
Yeah.
After my first TexSom, getting that invitation to have this higher education and kind of dive a little bit deeper in conjunction with the TexSom Awards and, you know, meeting people that I've only read about in publications and seeing them in person and being part of that activity has been really special. Yeah. And I don't take it lightly, my progression from a summer camper to actually speaking. Yeah. It's a pretty surreal experience. Yeah. My first time as a summer camper, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that you were my first editor.
I was an editor for you. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So and like to kind of put that in perspective, what the editing part is so with the TexSom Awards, when the gold medals get through, summer campers, so like I guess would be kind of people who are participating in the background of the awards to help with their own education and with their own career steps. What James Tidwell did was put together this idea that like everyone who is on the floor should be able to explain and describe a wine, not only to a guest, but more and more journalists are asking you guys to help give us quotes or feedback on wines as we're writing a story. So we were able to create this kind of mini cosmos of editorial content where any gold wine that went through had to be written about by a member of the summer camp. Yes. And then there was kind of a panel of editors who would help you guys push through and understand how to write something versus just talk about it on the floor. So that's kind of the background on that. And I hope it wasn't too intimidating. Like I think back on that time and it's fun to,
I value that experience so much because now I too am a freelance writer, and that's not something that I saw on my Som bingo card in my lifetime. I mean, now I get to write, and when I'm putting out my thoughts to a publication, or if someone reaches out and wants some thoughts about whatever the topic is, I feel very confident in my writing now because of that. Summer camp experience. So learning how to write, learning my own voice, how I want to sound, how I want a wine to be conveyed. I mean, in this first couple years of summer camp, nailed it.
I love it. Well, you were great. And I think, it just makes a difference. It's, again, kind of another thing that the conference does to help foster these careers as they're burgeoning. So back to the panel, I'm just curious, just for listeners, I think it's always helpful to get tips and tricks. And I'm just curious, for aged wines, when you're tasting through them, especially if it's a blind situation, what are some of the things you're looking for in determining whether or not it's aged, and maybe even what the quality of that wine is? Like, could it potentially age more or things like that? What are some of the things you're looking for?
Sure. So I think doing red wines are a little easier. Okay. So I'll start there. But for red wines, color plays such a large role in what we're doing. So when I look at the color, I'm looking at the center of the wine versus the edge of the wine, how that color kind of dissipates through the side of the glass. I'm looking for sediment. I'm looking for clarity. There's a lot of cues just from sight that you can pick up on that tells you a lot about the wine.
Okay.
Also, I mean, in a blind situation, I mean, tiering and concentration of the tiers as far as color also play a big role. I mean, am I looking at a thin skin grape? Am I looking at a thick skin grape? That tells me a lot about how long it's been aged. With Cabernet, thick skin grape, if that color is holding on and tiering, it's going to be a lot older. If it's Pinot Noir, there's no staining. It's little cues from that just kind of give you
an idea from the site and stuff. And then like the fruit, are you looking for riper, or are you looking for more dried or kind of stewed fruit to kind of give you an indication of age? Or
Right. So think of a wine like you would look at a piece of fruit, like an apple. So if the apple is fresh and bright and just got picked, I mean, if you look at that apple and you taste it, you can taste the fresh fruit. It looks fresh. It looks bright. The skin is nice and shiny and clear. But as the apple starts to age and decay, like you can see the brown spots, like
the
oxidation, right? Like the fruit itself tastes a little bruised and oxidized. Wine has the same reactions, more or less. So I can't remember who told me that, but I kind of keep that in the back of my mind when I'm trying to figure out how old this wine is. Like, what's the stage of this apple?
Where is, what is the condition of the fruit or whatever? I think that's really good. And then, I mean, obviously in terms of structure, acid and tannin are going to play a role and finish. Like if it, if it has that
acid, tannin, sugar content, that's the backbone, the building blocks of the wine. And with those components, that is the dictator for the longevity and the ageability of the wine. So, I mean, one of the best examples of the world is Riesling. A Riesling like Auslese level, for instance, high sugar, high acidity, can last forever. I mean, those wines in the 80s even that I've tasted are so brilliant still. I mean, that sugar plus the acid act as a preservative. So that's really important. Or look at grape like Nebbiolo. High tannin, high acid, can last forever. I mean, those are essential blocks to the ageability of the wine.
As a panelist or a speaker, not only do you have the ability to be on stage, but you also get the ability to sit in the audience for the other seminars that are around. So was there anything that you were excited to see?
There is a seminar on tools of the trade.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes. So I believe, I can't remember everyone on that panel, but it's Master Sommelier Jill Zamorsky. So I'm looking forward to maybe new techniques or maybe even new tools in the market that I haven't seen yet. Anything to make my life easier or better, and how to use them properly.
It's an interesting point because I think about, in the restaurant world, things that might be helpful. Like, how has the Coravan changed your ability to work on the floor and manage a wine program? Has it helped?
It has helped. At Madrina, I haven't used a Coravan yet, but I do plan to in the future. But at the Four Seasons, we used a Coravan all the time.
Yeah.
And so we had this opportunity to pour off things that we wouldn't be able to,
like do it by the glass of Chablis for like,
right. Or Tignanello, which you're not going to sell.
No. Yeah.
It's not a high volume offering.
Yeah.
So I think Coravan does have a place in the wine world and in restaurants too. I think it's very valuable.
Yeah. Well, and there's tools like that kind of entering the market all the time, whether it's the Duran to help with, opening older bottles or, things like that.
I just got my first Duran.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. It was a gift from sommelier Andre Houston Mack.
Oh,
so
that's
if you're
so
watching,
nice.
Andre, thank you for the Duran.
Thank you, Andre.
Love it.
Well, Alisha, it has been so great to catch up with you as usual. And I'm glad we could do it on the podcast. I really think that it's been fun to see your progression in your career, and all of that has been through the conference itself, through TexSom. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.